It might be silly to be attached to a store owned by a gigantic corporation, but in this video, I will explain why it is so sad that Denmark's oldest supermarket chain Irma is closing down. And what does the Japanese tourist have to do with all this? Irma is an upscale supermarket with locations mostly in Copenhagen, with fancy cheeses, wines, and locally sourced organic produce. It is a boutique supermarket along the lines of Waitrose or Whole Foods, but generally a way smaller. And now it is shutting down. So is it just a bunch of rich white people getting upset about the closure of Irma? Sure, there's that to it. But aside from the really sad fact of many people possibly losing their jobs, there's also a cultural significance to this brand that I'm very sad to see go. So let's talk about it. Irma was established all the way back in the late 19th century with a single store in Copenhagen's Nørrebro area under this name that I cannot pronounce. Some changes happened in the business, and then my man Sophus came up with the name Irma and created the first Irma logo based on her daughter in 1907. A couple of owner changes for the company, and Irma as we know it came to life in 1943. At this time, the Irma logo was also redesigned by architect Bent Makkeprang. A few years later, Børge Olsen took the helm of the company and really built up the whole brand. This cult favorite blue Irma coffee, apparently he was the one who made that happen as well. Anywho, all good growth until the 80s. By this time, Irma is owned by FDB, when in 1993, they announced that they are shutting down Irma. They turned some stores into a supermarket called Superbrugsen and another whole bunch into Fakta supermarkets. Then they tried to sell the remaining Irma stores unsuccessfully. Those rich white people that I mentioned earlier, they flocked to Irma after they heard about the closure and that the brand was saved, thanks to the public outcry and the returning of customers. So things started to look up for them with smaller losses, some profit, and new stores for Irma in the late 90s all the way to the 2010s. 2020 and 2021 were a great financial success for the brand apparently, but then 2022 came about and took the wind out of Irma's skirt. Among the international community in Denmark, it is a sad known fact that Danish supermarkets suck. A small variety of items, the international food selection often extends to taco spice and low quality noodles. Let's not go down this rabbit hole right now. While most Danish supermarkets such as Netto, Rema and Coop 365 compete on pricing, a literal race to the bottom, Irma was bringing something else to the table, with high quality, organic and specialty goods from literally all over the globe. They tried leaning heavily into the sustainable aspect of things with initiatives such as sourcing locally, growing herbs in the store and developing more eco-friendly packaging such as these cool spice holders that made out of paper. The point is that it was a store that was definitely standing out from the regular supermarkets of Copenhagen. It was a nice, clean environment, friendly staff, neatly packed shelves, and just a cozy shop to be in. But in comparison, some other supermarkets here you might feel like you turn into one of those poorly lit aisles and could be attacked by the humongous demanding the last frozen pizza you took.
Just walk away, and there will be an end to the horror.
Oh, and that blue Irma coffee that Olsen brought back in 1953? People love that stuff. That shit is a staple. Irma was special for me, or for my kind specifically, the vegans. Irma had some of the best vegan food selection out there out of all the supermarkets. Vegan cheeses that have actual nutritional value and flavor, sour cream, cooking cream, whipping cream, ice cream, so many different types of fake meats, ready-to-go meals and so forth. They stock the best local vegan ice cream all year round, and I could just keep going about this. The selection was so good that in my shopping guide video for Copenhagen, I crowned them as the best supermarket for vegans. You can watch that video here, and maybe you could also subscribe to the channel if you want. This is a very big loss for people who want to eat vegan food in Copenhagen. And while it seems that the closure and restructuring of the supermarkets might not be the end of the good vegan food selection, it leaves me wondering, where am I gonna get the good cheese from? This lavishness comes at a price, of course, and after a few years of record profits, apparently 2022 was bad enough for the parent company Coop to cut the fat and slim down on their brands. It makes a lot of sense because the parent company Coop has to manage several different supermarket brands across several different value props, so slimming down on their offerings is not a surprising choice. This process started last year with transforming their budget-friendly Fakta branded markets into co-op ones, and this year it is time for them to look at the more expensive brands that they own. Until recently they were managing 8 different chains, and now simplifying them down to 3. And while this is super sad, from a business perspective it makes a lot of sense. I mean, look at these two supermarkets roughly 15 meters away from each other, and they are owned by the same company but under a completely different brand. That might not make a lot of sense, right? Irma has been around longer than your mom. and probably my mom combined. And these brands do matter to the people of Copenhagen. They already demonstrated this in 1994 when they first saved it. Once the closure was announced at the beginning of this year, the response was immediate. People showed support for the brand and then the workers. They complained to Coop, they organized demonstrations, and the real smart ones, they went to the store and they bought a ton of Irma branded products and definitely all the tote bags available. Now these people sell them online at 4 or 5 times the price at our own version of Craigslist. Yeah, please don't buy an Irma tote bag for 80 euros. That does not make any sense. Irma also collaborated with other culturally relevant Danish brands such as Barin, making a t-shirt drop and selling them in the supermarkets. And there were some other products that I kind of forgot right now, but they were out there. One of the most famous spots in Copenhagen, no, not that one, has a gigantic neon hen laying eggs on top of an apartment building all night, referring back to the humble beginning of Irma selling eggs. The Irma girl logo is a staple over here, and when it comes to famous Danish girls, none of the locals give a shit about the Little Mermaid, but they all like the Irma girl. I've even seen tattoos of it and cover-ups. I never met a Dane who had anything bad to say about Irma, aside from it being expensive. And actually quite a few Danes watch this channel, so what do you think? Are you kind of sad to see Irma gone? In my opinion, shutting down Irma is a big loss for Copenhagen. Imagine a scenario where you are the manager of an Irma store and a group of tourists from across the globe come into your store, buy all your tote bags and a bunch of Irma branded mints, and then they just leave. Is this a prank? What are they doing with all those bags? So while I'm not a Dane, and most of my knowledge on the cultural impact of Irma only comes from a handful of years living here, I do know something about this supermarket that a lot of Danes might not know. It has a somewhat of a minor cult following in Japan. Why is that? I have a few plausible explanations for this. Japanese people love the cute and simple design of the logo. I mean, they have mascots for literally everything over there, so this makes a lot of sense. Organic food also had a boom in Japan some years ago, and Irma selling a lot of those goods was a match made in heaven for them. On top of this, reusable tote bags also became popular over there, not just for grocery shopping, but as a fashion accessory. Don't believe me? Check this. I am not making this up. I mean, look at these local listings from Irma tote bags over there. Pop-up shop stuff. People making YouTube videos about it. And it is literally in the different Lonely Planet style guidebooks to go to Irma and buy tote bags and mints as omiyage. I also know this from my own personal experience, is that when I go to visit family over there, this is how my suitcase looks like. I am not selling these bags, I literally just bring them to my friends and family over there because they do ask for it. So is this weird to have a favorite supermarket? I don't think so. And as I said, I am very sad to see Irma go. I feel for all the people who might lose their livelihoods in this debranding process, and I truly believe that Copenhagen will just not be the same without our Irma-chan. The only tiny light at the end of this tunnel is that the parent company Coop plans to set up Irma selections in their new supermarkets that will sell the most popular Irma items. So please don't rush to buy overpriced Irma tote bags from scalpers under an overpass just yet. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested, you can watch some marketing stuff or a little bit more Copenhagen life stuff over here, or you can even subscribe to the channel if you wanted to. Thanks, bye. But aside from the really fed sect, makkeprang?